Welcome back to class, grade 1 students. I hope that you're doing well. And today we're going to be having science. But before I get into what day it is and stuff like that, I just want for you to look at the background of my picture and make a guess as to what we're going to be talking about for science today. What is the person doing? They're planting something, they're gardening, they're playing in soil. What is it that they're planting? Okay, it kind of looks like a tomato plant to me. So what it is you think we're going to be talking about today for science? Okay, let's see if your guess is right. Thus, for a reminder, today is Tuesday, the 26th of January in the year 2021, and we are going to have science. And for science today, we are going to be looking at types of plants. Did you guess that correctly, that we'll be looking at plants today? If so, great job. What is a plant? Let's review. We covered these in school before, so Miss is just going to speedily go through these so you can refresh your memory about plants, okay? A plant is a living thing that grows in the earth and has a stem, leaves, and roots. So the first thing you need to remember is a plant is a living thing. Living things breathe, living things grow, living things have babies, living things feed themselves. So a plant is a living thing and it grows in the earth. And a plant has parts. And the main parts that all plants have are stem, leaves, and roots. Now, what are the parts of a plant? Let's explore that. First part we're going to be looking at is root. Do you see the roots here? Yes, there are quite a lot of roots there. Now, what does the root do? The root keeps the plant in the ground and it takes in water and nutrients. So the root acts like an anchor and it holds the plant down firm in the ground. So that way the plant doesn't get easily blown over by the wind. Imagine that your feet are your roots. So when you stand up, you stand on your feet. And then if a strong wind comes, you won't be blown over easily because you have your feet which keep you deeply rooted and grounded. So you won't be blown over. So that's what the plant's root does for it, okay? And the roots act as a straw and they suck up all the water and all the nutrients, and when you add fertilizer and the animal dung and other manure there, they take all of that nutrients up and they carry it up inside of the plant. But in order to take the nutrients and water up inside of the plant, we need another helper, the other part of the plant, the stem. Now the stem is actually the part now that takes the water and the nutrients to the other parts of the plant. So here you have the roots stay in the ground, they take up the nutrients, they just try to suck them up, and then the stem here finishes the job and carries the nutrients all the way up and throughout the rest of the plant. Also, the stem's job is to hold the leaves. So imagine that your stem now, from your feet are your roots, and then you have your legs coming up with your stem, and then you have your arms as well as a part of your stem, and then your hands are like your leaves. So the stem helps to hold the leaves. Okay? So that's the second part of the plant. So far we have looked at root and we have looked at stem. Third, so here is a leaf. Yes, look at that great big leaf. What color is it? All right, green. Yes, so the leaf actually makes food for the plant. So inside of that leaf, there are these special cooks, these special chefs that helps to make food for the plant. And in order to make that food, they use the air that we breathe out. So I want for you to blow out your breath right now. Just blow out your breath. Go. So plants would take the air that we breathe out is called carbon dioxide, and plants would take that and turn it into food, and that's what the leaves help it do. So the leaves now have these tiny holes and the leaves will suck in that carbon dioxide and it would turn it into food. And then you know what the plant will give us back in return? The plant gives us back oxygen. The air that we breathe in is oxygen. So taking a deep breath. So you see that all that oxygen that you just took in, you get that from plants, and that's part of the leaf. The leaf helps to make the food and it gives us oxygen. So that's why plants are so very important. Now let's look at the next part of the plant. We have the flower. Have you ever seen a flower on a plant before? What color was it? Did it smell good? some flowers smell good, others smell kind of stinky, right? So the flower now here, I actually have tomato blossom. So some flowers we refer to them as blossoms, and these blossoms, they make seeds. The flower makes seeds and also turns into a fruit. So this tomato flower, this tomato blossom would eventually turn into a fruit. And what fruit is that going to be? It would be a tomato, a nice big round juicy tomato. And so these are the seeds that were inside of the flower. So the flower makes the seed and turns into a fruit. Remember that. And then we have the fruit, which is the tomato here. And what does the fruit do? The fruit protects the seeds. So the fruit protects the seeds. So the seeds are inside of the tomato. So this fleshy outside protects the seeds. And the fruit also helps to spread the seeds. So if you don't pick the tomato, eventually it would rot and it will fall off the tree and it will fall to the ground, and the seeds will go on the ground and then eventually turn into new tomato plants. And even if you eat the tomatoes, some of you might spit out the seeds or scrape them out or throw them in your yard. So the fruit helps with spreading the seed. Okay, so you see, from a flower to a fruit. So now these are all of the parts of a plant. You have flower, leaf, stem, fruit, and root. Now I want for you to get active. This is what I want for you to do for me. You're going to go outside and you're going to find a plant. You can pull it up. Don't pull up anybody's flowers, please, or anybody growing provision or anything. Pull up some other random plants and you're going to show it to your mom, your auntie, or somebody else, and you're going to point out the parts of the plant to them. Okay, so you're going to say, oh, this is the root, this is the fruit if it has one, this is the flower if it has one, because not every plant you would see these on, and this is the stem and the leaf. So most plants have root, stem, and leaf. Okay, so get active, go outside and get a plant. All right, now let's move on to the main part of today's lesson. That was just a review that we did before, and today we'll be discussing types of plants, trees and shrubs. Trees and shrubs, have you ever heard those words before? Yes, you have. Okay, where did you hear it? And do you know what that is? Do you know what a tree is? Do you know what a shrub is? Okay, so you must have made trees, shrubs. We're going to be exploring them too. Some of you may know trees, but some of you may not know shrubs. By the end of today's lesson, you're going to be able to identify what is a tree and what is a shrub, and you're going to be able to even define it. You're going to be able to tell people in your household, this is what a tree is and this is a shrub, and here is an example of one of those as well. Okay? So here I have a picture of what is this? It is a mango tree. Yes, and this is a tree. Now we are going to be looking further at trees so we can better identify a tree and say what a tree is. Define the word tree. Okay? So trees. These are some coconut trees, and the person that took this picture, they would have to do what? They would have to look up. And normally when somebody's up in a tree, you would have to do what? You would have to look up at them because the tree is so tall. Yes, the tree is so tall, and these coconut trees are very tall, and that is one thing that's true about trees. Trees are tall. So that's one fact about trees I want for you to keep in mind. Trees are tall. Now let's look at these trees. I have two different trees there for you, and I have some blue arrows pointing at something. So this part of the tree, what would this part be? So in the ground you would have the roots, and then this part would be the stem. But in a tree you don't actually call it a stem, you call it a trunk. So trees have trunks, and they call it a trunk because it's so big and it's woody. You see, it's made of wood. So trees have trunks. Okay, their stem is called a trunk. So trees have trunks. So trees are tall and trees have trunks. Next, what is this boy doing? Right, he's climbing. Can you climb? Okay, great. Yeah, so he's climbing a tree. He's climbing a tree. And trees are tall, and trees have branches that we can climb. They have these big, broad, strong branches that we can climb. So trees can be climbed. Okay? And those are the facts that you need to know about a tree. So a tree is a tall plant with a trunk and branches made of wood. So let me just go back over it quickly for you. So trees, they're tall. They have a trunk. They can be climbed. Their branches can be climbed. So a tree is a plant with a trunk and branches made of wood. And here I have a picture of a breadfruit tree. Can breadfruit trees very tall? Yes, they get to be so tall and sometimes people can't even climb them that easily, and they would have to use very long sticks. Yes, very long stick, long bamboo with knives and stuff in order to cut the breadfruit. But some people are very good at climbing them even though that they are so tall. Okay, and that is what a tree is. Now let's move on to a shrub. Before I get to there, here's a fun fact about trees. Trees are the largest and oldest living things on earth. So trees were here long before people. They are the largest and oldest living things on earth. So some trees can live to be hundreds and thousands of years old. How old do you think this tree is? That's a very good guess. Now let's move on to shrubs. So here I have a picture for you of a plant. What plant is this? It is we have a yellow one in the schoolyard. It is a hibiscus, and the hibiscus is a shrub. So we are going to further explore shrubs. Now look at the hibiscus. How would you describe this hibiscus? Okay, now let's see if that's what happened. That is how all shrubs look. So here I have another type of shrub, and we're going to describe it. When you look at it, would you say it's tall or short? Okay, does it look like a tree? No, it is what? Is it leafy or bushy? It's bushy. So shrubs are actually bushy. See all these leaves, they just have all these leaves clumped up together. So shrubs are actually bushy. Now let's look at this rose bush here. Is it tall like the trees in the background here? Or is it shorter than the trees? Okay, short. Now, would you say that it's also bushy? Right, so this is short and bushy. Shrubs are, so far we have looked at, they are short and bushy. Do you think you can climb this rose bush? Why not? Okay then, let's continue looking. And now let's look at this. This is how this plant looks without its leaves over here. Okay, so when it doesn't have its leaves, that's how it looks. What do you see here? Do you see one big trunk? No, it's not one big trunk. It has these many branches coming out of the ground here. It has many branches, and these things coming out of the ground are actually its stems. So shrubs have many stems. They don't have one main trunk like a tree does. Instead, they have many tiny stems. Okay? So shrub is a short bushy plant with many wooden stems, and this flower here is an Ixora is actually a shrub. It's short bushy plant with many wooden stems. Now we're going to play in a game. It's a game called Shrub or Tree. This over here is a buttercup. Do you think it's a shrub or do you think it's a tree? It's a shrub. It's short, it's bushy, you can't climb it, it has many stems coming out of it. And then this is a tree. It has one long trunk, and then it has all these branches up at the top. It has a great big crown up here of leaves and branches, but you can climb this one. Unlike a shrub, you can't climb it. Okay, so now let's look at this. What is this? Is it a shrub or is it a tree? Is it a shrub or is it a tree? It is a tree, and actually it's a plum rose tree. So again, we have this trunk, and then it has the branches which are more spaced out than out of a shrub, and you can actually climb it. And on this plum rose tree, I see some blossom. And what are these blossoms going to turn into? Right, they're going to turn into some juicy, sweet plum rolls. Next one. What is this? Do you think it's a shrub or a tree? Is it a shrub or is it a tree? Is it short and bushy? Yes. Do you think you can climb it? So then it's a shrub. And then this is actually called something that we call fat poke. It's a fat poke shrub. And if you don't know what that is, ask someone in your family to show you the fat poke plant that is up at Soldier Hill. Well, close to Black in Fancy. There is a fat poke shrub there. So maybe you can go for a walk and take a look at it, okay? And this one, is it a shrub or is it a tree? It is a tree. It's a golden apple tree. Do you like golden apples? Do you like them ripe or do you like them green? Okay, that's good to know. So yes, this is a golden apple tree, and again, it has the branches that you can climb. Okay. Now, what about this one? Oop, the answer is right there. So you you didn't even have to guess. This one is a shrub. It's actually called a broom shrub. Right, you see the tiny branches. Can you climb this? No, you can't climb this one. Right, so therefore it's a shrub and it's pretty short as well. Now that is the end for today's lesson on types of plants, trees, and shrubs. I hope that you learned something new today and that you are able to identify trees and shrubs in your environment. So go outside, take a look around, and tell your mom, your granny, auntie, daddy, whoever, uncle, that this one is a tree because it has this, and this is a shrub because it looks like this, okay? Alright, goodbye. I miss you guys and see you in tomorrow's lesson.